Hey, how you doing YouTube? I'm back in the video, and today I'm going to talk about how I think the Washington Wizards could shock the NBA. And now what I mean by this is I think a lot of people are really sleeping on the Wizards. I mean, I'm personally not a Wizards fan, but I mean, as a fan of the NBA, if you look at their roster, look at their depth, look at pretty much all their star talent, look at what other teams in the East have, I mean, I really think they're very close to being contenders, if not they already being contenders in the NBA. I mean, I really do think they have a good chance of making the finals, winning the finals. Probably not, just because of how good the Warriors are, but I could definitely see them in the NBA Finals next year. And now, before you call me crazy, retarded, stupid, not knowing what I'm talking about, just hear me out. Hear all the points in the video. I actually do think that this team could definitely end up being at least in the conference finals. I really could see that. I think Boston's a better team than them, but I mean, besides that, it's pretty much a toss-up, especially for their conference. So I mean, I really want to have y'all hear my thoughts and opinions. If you still disagree with me at the end of the video, I mean, that's alright, y'all have y'all's own opinions. But I'm not saying the team's going to win the NBA Finals or anything. I'm just going to say how I think they're very slept on, and why I think they're kind of going to have some shock value to them and probably be better than a lot of people are anticipating them to be. So without further ado, without rambling on too much, let's get right to this video. Alright, so my first reason for this video is going to be that they are in the East. Now what I mean by that is not a diss against the Eastern Conference or anything, that they do still have some pretty talented teams, some pretty young talent in that are going to be very, very challenging in a few years to come. But I mean, with LeBron now out of the East as he left for the Lakers, the East is wide open. I mean, there's 4 teams that I think are going to be contenders for the finals this year. Those 4 teams are Philly, Toronto, and Boston. And that 4th team is going to be the Washington Wizards, because I think the Wizards, I mean, they're probably just as good as Toronto and Philly. Boston's probably better than all of them, but I think any of them can beat Boston. I don't think Boston's going to be this untouchable team in the East. I mean, I have them coming out of the East, but I wouldn't be surprised if they don't. And someone like Philly, Toronto, or even Washington makes it out. I really wouldn't be that surprised. I mean, all of them can compete with all of them. And I mean, the Warriors, they're obviously going to win the NBA Finals, barring any big injuries. But, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if any of them come out of the East. And Washington Wizards, I think, are very, very slept on. As, I mean, they have just as much talent as a lot of those teams. They have just as much depth as a lot of those teams, besides Boston. So, I really do think they compete with all of them. I don't think the Wizards are going to struggle to compete with all of them. I think it's going to be a good series. I think it's going to be a very, very good Eastern playoffs. I really want to see how that's going to pan out. And I do think the Wizards could definitely come out on top in the East for sure. But now, my second reason is going to be that they have patched up many holes this offseason. One of those holes being that they have patched up their center, as John Wall last year in an interview said, we need an athletic big. And then what did they get? They went out and got an athletic big. They replaced Marcin Gortat with Dwight Howard, a very solid center, a very solid starting center, especially in this league. As I mean, I'm pretty sure last year he had like a 20-30 game, which very few players have had. I think he compared it to like Shaq and Wilt. Those are the only other 2 players that had that. I could be wrong. Correct me if I'm wrong. But I mean, Dwight Howard is a very good, and he's a very athletic big man. Something John Wall obviously wanted. He's athletic. He can protect the rim. He can score in the paint. He can grab you boards. He can pretty much do everything you need a big man to do. You do everything but shoot, obviously. And I mean, Marcin Gortat was decent, but he was on the decline. He was the opposite of being athletic, and he just really didn't fit their system or any team's system, as he was more of an old school type big man. As Dwight Howard, besides his shooting, it pretty much resembles a new school, more athletic big man that pretty much every team has to have. I think they all need athletic big man that can at least protect the rim and do everything. Marcin Gortat's old school, grabs the rebounds, protects plays defense, and doesn't offer much offensively. So I think Dwight Howard is going to be a huge signing for them, as they're now going to be able to plug that big hole. But another big hole they were able to fill was that they added Austin Rivers. And what this filled is that depth at point guard. Yes, I know Austin Rivers is a shooting guard, but with knowing the fact that the Washington Wizards drafted Troy Brown last year with the 15th pick overall in the draft, I don't see them putting Austin Rivers in front of him and stunning his growth. I see them keeping Troy Brown as that second shooting guard, the backup shooting guard, and moving Austin Rivers to the point guard position. And I mean, letting him back up John Wall, as right now the depth at point guard is Ian Mahami. That is their backup point guard. So I think Austin Rivers is going to be a very, very good backup point guard for them next year. Plus, they're going to have Troy Brown. No one knows how he's going to be. 15th pick overall. He has a chance to be very good, or he has a chance to be a bust, or he has a chance to just be a role player. And I think he's going to be a very good role player for them next year, as I like Troy Brown going into the draft, and now I'm going to like him going into the NBA. NBA. He had a decent summer league, so I really do want to see how he pans out this year and like how they use him. I really do want to see how that's going to work, but I do think they were able to like feel that very, very good, as Austin Rivers is not a bad player by any means of the imagination. I mean, obviously he went that drama with Doc Rivers since his dad was a coach, but I mean, just look at him. Austin Rivers averaged last year 15 points per game, 4 assists per game, and 2 rebounds per game. So now they're going to have that, but off of their bench. That is going to be undeniably tons and tons of value off their bench. Now they're not going to have to just play John Wall 40 minutes a game. I mean, John Wall's probably going to still be playing 30 to 35 minutes a game. But now instead of having to play him because you have a very bad backup point guard, now you can sub him out and give him even more rest because Austin Rivers will be there. And it'll be tons and tons of playing time. And even if, say, they keep him at shooting guard and for some reason put Troy Brown to the third, now you don't have to have Bradley Beal and John Wall on the team on the court at all times, as now you can put Austin Rivers at that shooting guard position and give both of them more rest. So both of them are going to benefit very, very much. John Wall and Bradley Beal are going to benefit a ton off of that because, I mean, now they're going to have legit scoring off their bench. Someone that can play defense, can do pretty much everything all right in Austin Rivers. So the team won't have to rely on Bradley Beal and John Wall to play unbelievably to win their playoff series and stuff, because now you have Austin Rivers off the bench, which is going to be very, very nice. But another great addition for them was Jeff Green, who last year was a huge piece for the Cavs and was able to average 10 points per game, 1.3 assists per game, 3.1 rebounds per game. He's a good veteran, a good hustler. He would be a great backup power forward for the Wizards, I think, especially for Markieff Morris. Markieff Morris is a good starting power forward, but now you have that depth at power forward. So I think overall, they were able to improve their depth and just plug up tons of holes that they desperately, desperately needed. I think the biggest hole being center, but they're also got a new backup point guard, new backup shooting guard, Troy Brown. I mean, they did everything pretty much as good as they could have, knowing that they weren't going to get a all-star or a superstar due to their cap. But I mean, with what they had to do and what they could use, I think they pretty much won everything they did. I think they won the signing of Dwight Howard, got him at a bargain. They won the trade for the Austin Rivers. They won a lot of things. I think they almost had a perfect offseason for what they had to work with and what the holes they needed to plug. But now my third reason is going to be that their entire big three are entering their prime. John Wall is 28. He's in his prime right now, probably playing the best basketball he plays of his career. Bradley Beal and Otto Porter, they're both 25. They're just now entering their prime. They're all going to be 26 by the end. They're both going to be 26 by the end of this year, meaning that they're going to be just now entering their prime and playing some of the best basketball they've played their career. And when you look at how Bradley Beal and Otto Porter have developed since entering the NBA, they have gotten better every single year, meaning like every year they've scored more points per game, averaged more assists, just had a better year all around every single season. So assuming that's not going to change, they're all going to be having even better years. I think Otto Porter is really getting ready to make that jump to become an all-star level player. I think Bradley Beal should have been an all-star last year. He's a very good shooter, very good scorer, very efficient scorer as well. I think he's a very overlooked player in the league. But I mean, I think Otto Porter is finally going to get there and become one of those all-star level, at least contenders. Because last year he averaged like 14 points per game. I think he's probably going to average around 16 to 17 points per game next year. So I would expect him to make that huge jump and at least become an all-star contender, an all-star, like a fringe all-star player, which will be very big, as they will now have 3 all-star level players, plus Dwight Howard, plus their depth, which will make them legit contenders. And I mean, when you have a big 3 of all entering their prime of solid players, that could be very, very scary, especially if they develop how I think they're going to. But now my fourth and final reason for this video is going to be that their defense has improved, as last year they were a below average defensive team. I mean, they were actually below the league average if you check all the stats. They were not a very good defensive team. But when you add someone like Dwight Howard, an excellent rim protector, he's going to be a huge upgrade over Marcin Gortat, so their defense is going to go up right there. But then also Austin Rivers is another pretty good defense. I mean, he will be pretty nice off the for defense for them. And I mean, I think he will be very, very good. So really, when you look at it, no way can their defense improve. So they will probably at least be an average to top 15 team in the league in defense at least. So, I mean, with that improvement in defense, their depth, their big 3 being even better, they're patching up all the holes, I really think they could shock the world or the NBA or all the NBA fan bases. But unfortunately, guys, that's going to be it for this video. So if you did like the video at any point, hit the like button and subscribe button. And I want to hear your thoughts. Do you think the Wizards are slept on? Do you think they could win do you think they could go to the NBA Finals? I mean, if you're a Wizards fan, do you think they could win the NBA Finals? I want to hear all your thoughts and opinions below. And like I said, if you like the video, hit the like and subscribe button, do all that good stuff. We're at 285 subs, I think. Literally 15 away from 300 100. That number blows my mind. Thank y'all so much for the support y'all have been showing. And when we hit that number, I will be making a video on it and just thanking you guys and everything. Because I mean, that I wouldn't be here without y'all, obviously. I mean, that's cliche to say, but I mean, I really wouldn't. So I really do appreciate for you all for that. So yeah, hope you have a blessed day, because I had a blessed day. So all y'all need to have a blessed day. See you tomorrow's video. Goodbye.